mayor election has now little time left, but the early contenders were already lining up their ducks. The man who brought drive-through voting to Texas wants to be Houston's next mayor. Former Harris County Clerk Chris Hollins rose to prominence by pushing ways to expand voting access in Texas, most populous county, during the November 2020 election. Chris Hollins, the former Harris County election chief, pushed measures aimed at expanding ballot access. 35-year-old Chris Hollins, a Texas Democrat Party official, temporarily served as Harris County Clerk in 2020. And he rose to prominence 2 years ago by championing efforts intending to make it easier for people to vote during the pandemic, including 24-hour drive-through voting and a bid to send applications for mail-in ballots to more than 2 million registered voters in Harris County. Now, those efforts drew a legal battle and a decisive rebuke from state Republican lawmakers who passed a sweeping voting restriction bill last year that outlawed the measures Hollins put in place. Now, Hollins is looking to use his brief 7-month tenure as a county clerk to launch himself into the mayor's office, where he would oversee a $5.1 billion budget and 23,000 municipal employees. He's running to replace Mayor Sylvester Turner, who will step down next year after serving 2 4-year terms. The city has term limits that prevents him from running again. Hollins, on the other hand, is the second major candidate to announce for mayor, following State Senator John Whitmire, a longtime Houston Democrat with deep ties to the city's police and fire unions and deeper pockets because he has $11 million war chest. We have Chris Hollins with us in our studio today to tell us more how much he's ready with his campaign. Thank you, Chris, for joining me today in my studio.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
It's the first time we are meeting actually in person because I have been reading about you and your campaign and your work, and it's quite fascinating actually. Okay, let me start with this question. You said in one of your statements that the challenges that we are facing as Houstonians are becoming more and more complex. Can you tell us more about the challenges?
Absolutely. Look, today we have more guns on the streets of Houston than ever before.
Yeah.
And so folks are concerned with their safety, the safety of their children, and the safety of their communities. This is also a city that's becoming harder to afford to live here.
Yeah.
And so you have instances of folks, oftentimes senior citizens, who have lived in a home for decades, maybe even an entire generation, who now can't afford to live there anymore. And we also have a real budget challenge. The next mayor is going to start off with a $200 or $250 million deficit in the budget. And this is at a time when we need more investment in critical infrastructure across Houston, not less. And on top of all of that, we have folks in Austin, I hesitate to call them leaders in Austin, who their interests are fundamentally opposed to what's going to be best for Houstonians. And so the next mayor is going to have to stand in the gap and provide real solutions for Houstonians when Austin is unable or unwilling to help us.
Okay, so let me go back towards when you brought the drive-through voting to Texas. What was that all about, and why you think it couldn't? Because it's easy. It's so much easier for people, you know. It's just to go and vote, you know. So why that never happened? I know the bill was just jotted down, but tell us your side of the story.
Sure. So back in 2020, and just to kind of set the stage, we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
It was
we
bad.
were all concerned with our own safety.
Yeah.
Folks like myself, small business owners, were wondering if we could keep the lights on. People didn't know if they could keep their jobs and keep their families fed and taken care of. But on top of all that the entire world, the entire nation was dealing with, we were also in the most important election year of our lifetimes.
Yeah.
And right here in Harris County, the third largest county in the country, our chief elections officer, our county clerk, suddenly resigned from office.
Yeah.
And so I raised my hand to do that job. And I had never held public office before, and I had never worked in election administration. But what I had done throughout my career in business, in the private sector, was to transform government agencies to better serve the people who they intended to serve, which is us. And so we brought that same practical approach to solving the challenge of bringing democracy to Houston and Harris County. And so you mentioned drive-through voting, which is one of the innovative services that we brought. 130,000 people in this community had the opportunity, and well, everyone had the opportunity, but 130,000 people chose to vote from the safety and convenience of their vehicles. And there were so many people who told me and others that they would not have been able to vote during the pandemic had it not been for that service. We also brought 24-hour voting, where doctors and nurses and first responders and people who were working essential jobs like grocery store workers stocking shelves till 2 and 3 in the morning, we gave them an opportunity to cast a ballot at a time that was convenient for them and for their busy schedules. And so what we were doing was what government should do, was see the problem that we're facing as a community and bring in practical solutions and ultimately deliver excellent services to the people who are paying their taxes and to the people who have these fundamental rights, like the right to vote in the United States of America.
Okay, if because you're running for an election, so if you got the position, do you think you're going to try to implement something like that again? Because Harris County has a lot of issues right now. And whatever you're saying is also, I'm going to ask you the next question after that, that it's putting a question like Mayor Turner has been in position for the last 2 terms, 4 years each. So you think that was what he couldn't do, so which you're going to do if you were given a chance?
Sure. So of course the mayor does not control how voting works in Harris County. But what's important,
but the lobbying can.
But what's important about what we did as county clerk was the approach that we took. And it was a problem-solving approach. It was a practical approach. It was a management approach. We understood what was ahead of us. We had a problem where people needed to vote, and they needed to be able to do so safely and have unparalleled access.
Those were unprecedented times anyways.
And we're in unprecedented times as a city. But whatever problem we're facing, whether it's public safety, whether it's around infrastructure investment, we need to understand the root of the problem, craft real solutions to those problems, create a strategy for executing them, bring in expertise, bring in best practices, maybe things that we've seen done well in other places, get great people to lead those efforts, give them the resources that they need to execute, and then empower them to do their job and hold them accountable for delivering for the people of Houston. That same approach can be applied to keeping us safe. That same approach can be applied to making Houston a better place to live. And so whatever issue that you would even think of, whether it's education and how we support our young people, whether it's workforce development, economic opportunity, it's thinking about how we drive a huge organization. The city of Houston employs 22,000 people and has a budget of $5.7 billion. And it's about running that large organization and setting a culture of delivery and of impact and of results.
But Chris, a lot of people are saying like you're young, you're 35, 36, I think. So people are claiming like you have a 7-year stint with the Harris County thing. And opposite you, there are other candidates with longer careers like Senator Whitmire and all that. So how do you place yourself? What makes you special? What you bring to the table?
Sure. Look, I have a business background, and I have the most experience of any candidate in this race being an executive, running a large organization and transforming a large organization to make it deliver for the people of Houston. Not another single candidate in this race can say that they've done that. Senator Whitmire has served for 50 years in the state legislature. Serving as a legislator is very different than being the CEO of a huge organization.
Of a very vibrant, diverse city,
And I would put my executive leadership experience and my ability to go in and solve real problems and then drive a group of people in a bureaucracy to solve those problems up against anyone who's in this race, hands down.
Chris, your dad was in police as well, and he has served in the city, I think. So can you tell us more about it? Because we have been talking about defunding the police. So what would your solution be?
Sure. Well, I haven't heard anybody in my circles talking about defunding the police. Again, the same approach that I would bring to any problem. The folks who we want to do a job for us, and that job in this instance is keeping us safe, they need the resources to do that job.
Yeah, of course.
They need the training and being empowered to do their job, and then they need to be held accountable for delivering the result, which is our safety. We have to get guns off of the streets. And we as a city not only have to be safe statistically, right? We need to see that violent crime number going down, but we have to feel safe, because if we're not feeling safe, then we're not going out shopping, right, around Christmas time.
Definitely, it's
We're
scary.
not going out to meet our friends out for dinner. We're not going to church or our place of worship or taking our kids to school. And then what we know and love about Houston starts to break down. And so safety is pivotal, safety is foundational. But the story of safety and the story of opportunity are connected. Because not only do we need to ensure that the people who are committing crimes right now are facing consequences, but you know, our young people who are maybe in high school right now or coming out of high school, they need to have choices that they can make to be productive members of society, so they can put food on their table or succeed or achieve in whatever way is meaningful for them, so that they're not attracted to a life that makes us unsafe.
Let me just come back to this point of crime and how we can handle that. Let me just take a very short break. Stay tuned. We are watching Truth Be Told with me, Sophia Jamal. Welcome back. We have Chris Hollins with us in the studio. Thank you, Chris, again for joining me. Before we went on the break, we were talking about Harris County and the crime rate. So once you will be in the office, how you think you can handle all the situation? Because Harris County in the recent election and during the midterms, we saw a lot of things unveiled, and in Judge Lina Hidalgo's case as well. So what kind of a game plan do you have?
So look, as we were saying before, Houstonians have to be safe and they have to feel safe. And what we just saw in the midterm elections, the attacks against Lina Hidalgo, what you saw was frankly a lot of politics, a lot of messages being shared to make us feel unsafe, while in fact Harris County Commissioner's Court was seeking to give more resources than ever before to the Sheriff's Office and to constables. But it's funny that you mentioned Harris County, because I'll be the mayor of Houston, not Harris County.
But, of course, but obviously Harris County comes
we have these public safety organizations outside of Houston, like the sheriff, like the constable's office, like Metro Police.
Obviously.
And we need to be making sure that HPD is working hand in hand with all those organizations,
with the county officials
efficiently, especially given the resources.
Because I feel Mayor Turner had a lot of challenges to face because of the issues within Harris County, and obviously it spills out to the city of Houston as well eventually, and specifically with the crime rate and all that, and whatever the crime rate goes up, the people talk about it's happening in the city of Houston as well.
Well, we need to do more to get guns off the street. Mayor Turner has already started down that path. But our police need more technological resources as well. Houston is a huge city. And as we've grown over the past 20 years, our city has grown by 25%, our population. But our police force has decreased by 10%. And we used to be a technological leader, and now we trail technologically. And as huge as Houston is, our physical footprint, we could have thousands of more police officers and still not be able to cover all this ground. And so we need to figure out how to be more efficient. And that means partnering with other agencies, but it also means investing in technological solutions that can help us to really scale our safety operations.
Such as?
Technology moves very quickly. But there are things like license scanners, right, that you could equip vehicles with, cameras. There's been a very successful partnership lately with convenience stores, incentivizing them to have camera coverage on the outside of their stores, and then let our police use that to investigate when there happen to be crimes in that area.
But doesn't that, because there is, you already said that there is, new mayor will be facing with the budget deficit as well. So that
Sure.
is going to increase the budget as well. So these will be the challenges which the new mayor will be facing, I guess.
Yeah, and I want to be crystal clear. We are going to have to partner with the private sector, with nonprofits on these solutions because as well-intended as we might be, and as great as the next mayor might be, we're going to have shortcomings at the city level because of our budget. And so we need this community to be a part of the solution and take responsibility for keeping ourselves safe. And I'll just give you an example from when I was county clerk. County clerk's office had 350 individuals.
Yeah.
On election day, we had 11,000 people in this community serving as election workers. So we could not do it ourselves. The entire community had to be a part of that solution. And so many churches and mosques and temples and synagogues and community centers were serving as voting centers, where we had drive-through voting in their parking lots, and where we had members of their congregation serving as election workers. And so we're going to have to engage the community in these solutions as well. And that's going to be part of what's going to keep us safe in the future.
Mayor Turner had a very difficult time with the Houston Fire Department as well. So once you will be in the place, if you will be in the place, so what plan do you have to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned my father serving in uniform as a police officer. And he did that for 34 years, and it's a tough job and it's a demanding job. Being a firefighter and keeping us safe in that way is also, it's a job of service. And I mentioned, I didn't mention, but I will now, my two sisters, who are both educators in the Houston area, but they're both married to HFD firefighters.
So you're safe.
And so I hear about these issues quite a bit. But look, again, it's about the approach. Whether it's fighting fire, whether it's working in our permitting office, or whether it's picking up our trash, if we want people to do that job, then that job has to be attractive. And part of that is their compensation. But once you get them in the door, then it's how can we retain these people? How can we develop and train them and make them better and then keep them for years to come so they can continue to do this critical function for the city? And so we need the job of the firefighter to be attractive so that someone who's passionate about that won't go to Dallas or San Antonio or Austin to do that job. And so I'm committed to coming to a deal with the firefighter so that they're getting paid in a way that's fair, where they can put food on their table, and where they can get the dignity and the respect that they should have for being public servants.
Okay, so let's talk about when Mayor Turner's last election. So there was Tony Busby, and there was a huge election campaign and big money involved over here. This time as well, when you are also running, other candidates have got their coffers full. They have their own war chest. So how are you going to face that? I mean, like that's a big challenge, getting all that funding, that money in place.
Way from election day. But I'm so inspired because thousands of people have already signed up to be a part of this grassroots movement, the Hollins for Houston campaign. Our first reporting deadline back in June, we were the fundraising leader in this race by a long shot. We raised over $1.1 million.
But then Tillman Fertitta got involved.
Sure, and that's fine. We know that special interests are going to be dumping in millions of dollars against us, but we have the people with us. What's really, really inspiring to me is that even though we're still a year away almost from Election Day, more people have contributed to the Hollins campaign than any campaign in Houston's history. Wow. So we know that the people of Houston understand our vision and they want to see our style of leadership in City Hall. We are also the endorsement leader in this race. Business leaders, faith leaders, elected officials are standing with us. Today, and I'll just give you this as an exclusive, Mayor Steve Adler of Austin is going to publicly endorse our campaign, along with State Representative Barbara Gervin-Hawkins from San Antonio, because they understand the importance of this kind of local leadership, and they're getting behind us. Reverend Bill Lawson, known as Houston's pastor, was our first endorsement, and many have stood up next to him since that moment, and they're going to keep doing so.
So what is your campaign style? Like you go, you're knocking doors, you're meeting more people, you're engaging with them more, and you think that other candidates are not doing that, or how do you put yourself in front?
Look, we're certainly going to outwork every other campaign, but the vision that we're sharing, one, well, look, we want to keep you safe. We want to create a city of opportunity. We want to ensure that Houston is making the types of investments, both in people and in critical infrastructure, that's going to allow us to get better and better day by day and year by year. That sets us apart. But also what we've already shown. I have been in public office and delivered for you directly in a very difficult situation, in a very high intensity circumstance. No other candidate in this race can tell you something that they've done to help you in a real way. No other candidate in this race has ever led or even been a part of a large, successful organization that delivered real results. And so if you're looking for your next CEO, you're not going to choose someone that doesn't have the qualifications. You're going to choose someone, hopefully, who you've seen deliver for you already, and that's Chris Hollins. But
okay, so it means like in the middle of the night, we can call the next mayor, and he is going to pick up our phone or something like that?
Look, when I'm out on the trail, could you ask how we campaign? I give people my direct cell phone number. And so I want people to call. I want people to share their ideas so that we can better understand their problems. But also, again, the big thing is bringing solutions to those problems. And so, yes, I do expect that folks will call and text me. But I also want to make sure that we're putting policies in place that are solving those problems before they even arise.
They have to.
And that takes real, vision. That takes the ability to strategize. That takes running this large organization called the City of Houston the way that it should be run. And we're going to be uniquely situated to do that.
Thank you so much, Chris, for giving me time today. It's a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with your campaign. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Raising heaps of cash and sprinting past the city's historical benchmark for fundraising can be daunting. But Chris Hollins has taken in more than $1.1 million in the first 5 months of his bid. 5 candidates have already announced their campaigns to succeed Mayor Sylvester Turner when his second term ends in January 2024. The competition will be tough for sure when candidates try to make advantage of the active political climate. Thank you for watching Truth Be Told with me, Sophia Jamal. Have a blessed weekend.